Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Invisble Inc. I played it on the PS4, it's also available on Steam and a few other mobile platforms. Alright, so when it comes to the story, you play as a group of essentially spies, but it looks like they're kind of a private organization, not like attached to a government or anything, and their biggest enemy is the corporations, a group of obviously large corporations. At the beginning of the game, your company is immediately attacked by the corporations, and you have to scatter and essentially rebuild from the ground up. I honestly couldn't tell you much more of the story beyond that because there's some gameplay elements that I found very difficult, and it basically prevented me from continuing too deep into this game. Having said that, I'm going to mix this up a little bit and go straight into the gameplay elements because, well, I feel that explains why I didn't get as deep into the story as I should have. To put it simply, all of the levels are like randomly generated, and once you get to a certain point, it randomly generates certain enemies that may or may not be unbeatable for you at that point in time. I had to restart a level multiple times before I got to a point where I could even progress through it, because every time I would start it, there'd be a locked door in one pathway, and then another pathway would have a guard whom I couldn't knock out, and I couldn't steal a keycard from him because he didn't have the keycard. And so your objective is to basically get in and get out without killing people, without leaving any trace. I mean, if you get spotted and they open fire on you, you're done, you're dead. That, kills your character almost instantly. So I had to restart that portion several times, which leads to an interesting gameplay mechanic, because what you can do is retire your agency, and any experience that you have built up, not for your individual agents, but for the agency as a whole, transfers over to the next playthrough, which that's cool and all, but you can still run into the same damn problem with these randomly generated levels. Now, I restarted several times using that, and I hit the same roadblock multiple times. It made it very difficult to get into this game for me. That having been said, it's an interesting game. It feels very much like XCOM in that you can only move a certain amount of squares. It's turn by turn, and the turns can take quite a while because you need to move very strategically. But you get your turn, the enemy gets their turn, and you have to go through that, and you have to pick out your actions very specifically. And that's another issue I find with this game, is the user interface is not fantastic. It's not great when you're trying to pick out your missions. It's not great when you're trying to pick out your actions when you're on a mission. It's just not great in general. You're sometimes doing action that you didn't necessarily mean to because, well, you couldn't tell which one you actually had highlighted. Things like that. They really need to go back and change some of that. And that may just be an issue I ran into playing this on a console. I'm willing to bet that it's probably easier on like a PC or a touch screen because you can just tap the icon, but on console, that's a problem. Since I'm doing this all out of order, let's hit the audio next instead, and I gotta say, I actually enjoy the audio in this game. I like the sound effects, I like the music, I liked the voiceover. It's not the greatest I've heard, but it works well for the game. When it comes to the controls, again, that's another weak point for this game, and it's probably mostly for the console. I feel like if you're doing this on a PC, or if you have like a tablet or something, because I know it's available for a few of those platforms, it's probably easier. But with a controller in hand, selecting which tile I was trying to get to was often a complete pain in the ass. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to say that the controls are an issue with this game, but they were an issue with this game because I'd be moving the control stick and it wouldn't go to the square that I wanted it to go to. It was getting really infuriating at times. And lastly, there's the graphics. Honestly, I think they're probably the best part of the game, in my opinion. I think the art style is really interesting and really cool. I liked the kind of cartoon comic book look. I enjoy that in general, but I think the art style they chose for this game is really unique, and it really works with it. Obviously, this isn't going to be like a graphics hog like Final Fantasy 15 or something, but it is a really beautiful game in its own right. At the end of the day, I can very easily see how somebody might find enjoyment out of this. I have at least one friend who I think would have a lot of fun with this game. But as it stands for me, not so much. And since this is my review and it's my opinion, I gotta say this game is a skip. In all reality, I'd be pretty damn pissed off if I had had to pay for this game. Fortunately, I got it for free because it's free on the PlayStation Network as of filming this up until January 3rd. But had I actually had to pay any money for this, man, I would have hated it, and I wouldn't recommend people paying money for this game. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me what your favorite free game from PlayStation Network or Xbox Live was this year? As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one. At the beginning of the game,